Good afternoon, second my dear participants. I just welcome all on Department of Srishwar, Mechanical Engineering and Srishwar College of Engineering. I just welcome all the participants for day 2, session 6 on the title Vehicle to Grid Technology Power Converters. So, it gives me an immense pleasure in welcoming today's speaker for sixth session, Dr. Tirumurthy sir, who has multidimensional expertise. He received a BE degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from the University of Madras, MTech in Power Electronics and Drives from Shastra University, and PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University. He has 27 years of experience in the paper industry, steel industry, teaching, and research. He has published about 30 international research papers, currently guiding 11 PhD scholars and working on research projects. He is also a C certificate holder in NCC and C license for electrical facility of industries. Currently, he is professor of electrical and electronics engineering in Kumaraguru College of Technology. His research focus includes power electronics applications to power systems, electrical drives, intelligent controls, and smart systems. We thank him for accepting our invitation to share his views and thoughts. Once again, on behalf of Department and Srishwar College of Engineering, we welcome you, sir, for the program. Now you can carry forward the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Good afternoon and greetings to all of you. I am happy to participate in this program and very nice to share some points related to e-vehicles. So this topic is nowadays everywhere we can see that talking about e-vehicles, but there are plenty of scope for improvements, we know, in the aspects of design, development, and then control, then operation, maintenance, charging, so utilization of the energy. In all those aspects, we have plenty of scope because it is now being upcoming, and we can work on that in different aspects. Not only the mechanical, automobile, electrical, electronics. So every technological and science researchers and engineers have scope to work on that. Even the marketing people have plenty of scope for the transaction of all those logistics, everything. So it is an integrated system development for the fruitful development and operation of these e-vehicles in our country. So this is need of the hour. So I think the PPT is visible to you. Let me make it full screen. Please confirm. Is it full screen now?
Yes, sir. Now it is in full screen, sir.
Yeah. So of course you have attended many programs and you are from various branches and having different expertise, because this is a community of the faculty members. So here I am ready to take your points and suggestions also. So I am here to share some points related to the power converters, and in general we should know about the energy and how it is being utilized, and what is the importance of storage, and what is the importance of make it portable, right? So this topic is about portable energy, right? So this is the overview of the topics what we are going to talk today, discuss today. So what is the energy scenario, and what are all the resources, what are all the losses, what is the importance of DG, that is distributed generation, utilizing renewable energy, then energy storage technologies, energy management, and our topics of today's session, V2G technology, that is vehicle to grid technology, and what are all the power converters involved in it. Then we don't forget some aspects of energy conservation and safety, right? So these are all the topics today we are going to deal with. So we know what is energy, that is the rate of, power is rate of work done or energy. So energy is a product of power and time. So if it is changing function with respect to time, we need to consider the area under the curve, that is the integral 0 to t pdt. So usually the conventional unit is kilowatt hour, 1 kilowatt hour is 1 unit, and SI unit is watt second, and thermal energy in joules. So what is the scenario now in India? So we have the total installed capacity of about 380 gigawatts. Giga, that is 10 power 9 watts, right? We have the watts, 1000 watts equal to 1 kilowatt, 1000 kilowatts equal to 1 megawatt, 1000 megawatts equal to 1 gigawatt. So among this 382 gigawatt capacity, plant capacity, right? So we have the plant capacity of 382 gigawatts. In that, we have the more than 60% or 65%, that is by burning the fossil fuels and nuclear. The red color, like coal, lignite, gas, diesel, nuclear, all are, that is affecting the environment, we know, but we use the majority of the, that is part of this energy resource, that is 65% from these fossil fuels. The green energy is from hydro, solar, wind, biomass. So we have the contribution of these non-conventional energy or green energy sources about 35%. So this is installed capacity, but we have the peak demand of 160 or 170 gigawatts. So we have only 50% of the demand, daily demand, but if it is 382, we cannot say all the plants are operational. We know hydro, wind, solar are seasonal, right? So solar is available only during the daytime, and wind power is available for few months. So hydro also, when there is a monsoon and rainfall, there is a flow, water flow, we can have. So otherwise we cannot expect. So there are seasonal and not reliable. Okay, so we have around 35% renewables. In that, we cannot say all are operational, right? So that is the, anyhow we have the sufficient installed capacity to meet the demand, daily demand. You can see the report of the load dispatch center, national load dispatch center or regional load dispatch center for the data. So you can visit to the website and you can see that what is the peak demand met today or yesterday. So we know the types of energy, that is thermal, then solar, light energy, chemical energy, nuclear, electrical, gravitational, mechanical, and also it is being converted from one form to another form for utilization. So we don't directly feel the electrical energy, right? So we need to convert. For example, for the fan, we need to convert into mechanical energy or kinetic energy, right? So then only we feel the air circulation, right? So then thermal heater actually converts the electrical energy into heat energy that is useful for heating the water. So like that, so in the compressor we have the mechanical energy for refrigerator or air conditioner. So like that, there are conversions, the transformation of the energy required. So then what is the use of electrical energy? Electrical energy is the form of energy that is for transporting, right? So easy conversion and control, that changing the level, the transporting to thousands of kilometers. So resource is available in different place, right? And we are utilizing in different place. So how to transmit mechanical energy from there or thermal energy? It is not possible. For that, we should have the electrical energy converter. Okay, these are all the energy transformations. So this is the view of. I hope it is changing instantly. Hydropower plant, is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is changing
Okay,
instantly, sir.
okay. Otherwise, if there is any time lag, so it is not synchronized between the slide and my speech. That's okay. There is a reservoir with a high potential or head. So it is opened through the penstock and reaching the turbine, and the generator is driven by the turbine, and it is generating the power, electrical power. Then it is transmitted through the substation or generating station. Okay. So this is the hydropower. The hydropower is the cleanest power among even solar power. We have the carbon emissions, right? So the manufacturing, the waste management, everything is problem with the solar also, right? So the cleanest power is the hydropower. So if the government has the vision of joining the rivers from north to south, we can have plenty of resources for the generation of hydro electric power. So that is the importance of this, and we can also store it if we have. Okay, let us discuss during energy storage. So this is hydroelectric power plant, and this is typical thermal power plant, that is from coal, right? From pulverized to coal, the air is that is burnt in the boiler, and there would be steam, water heated and converted to superheated steam with high pressure, and the turbine is driven by the steam, high pressure, superheated steam, and the generator is driven with the turbine, and the power is generated, right? And this is the components of the windmill. You have the blades we see, right? And there is a gear system, pitch system, there is a converter, generator, gearbox, yaw system, right? To control the direction and the speed and the frequency, everything, there are converters, right? So from the tower, the transformer is there to match the voltage with the grid, and the electric line is to transmit the power, okay, with the specifications of the grid. And we know solar power, that is using inverters, right? Because solar power is in the form of DC, because we have the diodes. Each solar cell is diode, and from diode you can expect unidirectional current. The unidirectional current means DC, right? So that is DC. The DC is converted into AC through the inverter. So then you can use it for local loads, or can send it through the grid. Okay, so using net metering, we can import or export the power from the grid. When you have surplus power generated in the solar PV plants, you can export it and you can sell it to the utility. Okay, and this is the future energy, that is hydrogen energy. So now the cost of hydrogen generation, the first component left side, you see the process of hydrogen generation, that is making use of methane or natural gas, right? So that is the raw material, and there is a processor, so it will generate hydrogen. So the hydrogen is the input for the fuel cell. So the hydrogen input, and there is air, right? So you will have the water as output and electrical energy, right, in the fuel cell. So that is also DC. We need inverter to use it for normal applications and to the grid. Okay, so there is a cooling system required for the fuel cell. So here also we use the natural gas, right? But now the cost of hydrogen generation is high. That's why it is not popular. But in future, for example, solar also, we had 10 years back, we had hundreds of rupees per watt, right? So now it is 50 rupees. So like that, if the cost is getting reduced, so it would be the future energy. So these are all the powers. Let us know the equivalence, energy equivalence. That is 1 kilowatt hour is 1 unit, that is equal to 860 kilocalories. So we talk about calories, right? So 860 kilocalories equal to 1 unit. So by burning the coal of 1 kg, we can have 2500 to 7000 kilocalories. That is why this range or deviation is the quality of the coal. Then similarly for furnace oil, high-speed diesel, petrol, kerosene, LPG, natural gas, we have the typical values in thousands of 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, right? So kilocalories per kg at the specific density. And we have already discussed this point, installed capacity 382, and we have, that is 382 gigawatts means 3,82,150 megawatts. And power demand met is around 150, now it is 160 or 170, no problem. So average cost of generation, electricity generation is 3 rupees per unit, because it has different cost per, depends on the type. We have the nuclear energy, the highest cost. So we have the solar and wind, that is less. So it is average value, that is rupees 3 is average values. So anyhow, we have about 37% of renewable or green energy. So what is the primary source of energy? We know. So all other discussed resources are derived from the sun. So wind or hydro or anything, the solar, everything, the primary source is sun. Okay, for the monsoon, for the wind flow, everything, the sun is the primary energy resource. Okay, so source. Okay, so we have the different conventional and non-conventional, renewable and cogeneration plants. So you can say it is the hydropower is conventional power, but it is renewable, right? So non-conventional is different aspects, and renewable is different aspects. So these are all the resources. So biomass also, that is nothing but the wood pieces, right? So we use that wood, so that is also biomass. And the black color is the problematic one, we should avoid that. So what about the utilization of energy? So leave that to the leftmost component. From thermal power plant, if you generate 40 units, finally the useful energy converted is only 21 units. So in between you have losses in the grid, substation, line losses, around 20% line losses, right? So and distribution, substation, then the equipment you are using, like pumps, fans, refrigerator, AC, everything has its own efficiency, So that's why it has only 21 units out of 40 units generated. So it is just about 50% of generated power in the plant is finally usefully utilized. So what are all the losses? The losses are electrical losses, mechanical losses, and due to non-effective design and operation. So in the final part, we can do something in the operation and design. Also the selection of equipments. We need not go for high rated, right? So that is also good. What about the environmental effects? So due to the coal-fired power plant, we have 7 kg per megawatt hour of SO2 released, whereas natural gas, that is negligible, that is 5 grams only. For CO2, the coal-fired plant produce 1 ton of CO2 per megawatt hour, whereas the natural gas produce only half of this. This is just a comparison. So we should have some energy efficiency, efficient operation, design and operation. It has multiple benefits like operating cost, right? The availability of the resources and pollution and fuel requirements and national development goals are met. So, so these are all the benefits of energy efficiency. So government also has the mission like solar mission, energy efficiency, sustainable habitat, water mission, sustainable Himalayas, green India, sustainable agriculture, strategic knowledge. So these are all the mission that is followed by uh, procedures with the government policies. Okay, so it is not depends on the our producers or the consumers. So it is for everyone. So next, let us look at the distributed energy generation. So this vehicle to grid everything is part of that distributed energy generation. So I told that 20% line loss, right? So 20% line loss can be avoided, right? So by producing the energy locally or in campus. Okay. So if you have the co-generation plant or solar power plant or any farm, right? So you can use it there itself. You can generate it. You can use it there itself. So the loss of energy in the 20% in the line is avoided, and also you have the benefit of the economic benefit of selling the power, right? Reliability is ensured. You need not look for the external power supplier. So if you have your own, so these are all some benefits. So what is DER actually? Distributed energy generation. It is the combination of the grid, then generators. Distributed generator 1, 2, 3 means solar, wind, or a local generator, right? Fuel cell. You can have your own power generator, and local loads are also connected to that. So for that you need a grid and point of common coupling with the network, local network. So that is called microgrid. Microgrid is connecting all those local generators like renewable energy, wind turbine, photovoltaic, fuel cells. Also, you can have energy storage devices. What are all the electrical, electrochemical, battery, mechanical, flywheels, magnetic coils, right? Then pumped hydroelectric power plants. So all our storage devices also can be connected to the microgrid. Okay, and you can also supply it to the local facilities, right? Commercial or domestic appliances, it is possible. So you have control over the microgrid, and also it can be connected to utility grid, right? So this is what the DEG, that is distributed energy generation with microgrid. So what are all the benefits? We have already seen that smart systems, right? Like smart grid, smart home, right? With operating centers, you have nowadays upcoming charging stations. Okay, charging station have huge impact on the grid. Okay, so it is not small. It actually, the number of vehicles you see in the road, if all are converted to electric vehicles, so you will see that impact that is affecting the reliability or the, you know, stability of the grid. Okay, so by having the distributed energy generation, you can ensure the reliability There is a flexibility of power generation and import-export. You can upgrade it, and economy, then diversity, efficiency is there. Okay, there are options, plenty of options. So, what are all the energy storage technologies and what is the role? So, there are energy services, right, for time shift. So, there is a requirement, certain requirements like ancillary services, regulation, spinning, non spinning resource, voltage support, black start, then transmission infrastructure services, distribution infrastructure services, then customer energy management like power quality, reliability, electrical energy time shift, then demand charge management, self-consumption of solar PV, also off-grid applications like solar home systems, mini grids you can have. So these are all the role of energy storage, ESS, right? EST, okay? So benefits, you have CO2 reduction, independence from fossil fuels, more renewable energy, less fossil fuels, and renewables is utilized. You have the scope for EV with the electrical energy storage. And role of energy storage technology, again it is stated, electric vehicles are being promoted for CO2 reduction. High performance batteries such as nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride, now lithium ion batteries are mounted on EVs and used as power sources. EV batteries are expected to be used to power in-house appliances combination with solar power and fuel cells, right? So this is an energy storage device, you can say. EVs can be realized as considered as energy storage device, okay? And it can be used for the local needs. Also, it can be utilized through the grid, that is called a V2H, that is vehicle to home and vehicle to grid technologies. So when there is a bulk of number of vehicles or more, you think of that storage, energy storage, and if you sum up all those things, it will be a huge energy in quantity. Okay. So what are all the electrical energy storage systems? You have mechanically pumped hydro. For that you need a naturally geographical structure like upper and lower dams. If you have solar power plant, you can use it for pumping the water from the lower dam to the upper dam during daytime. And during the peak time or night time, the upper dam water can be released and to operate the turbine and to generate the power can be utilized in the night time or peak time. So that's what this is, the highest capacity of energy storage devices. We can store the megawatt hours of energy only in the pumped hydro. And compressed air also can be used in the similar way. And flywheel energy storage, it is meeting the intermittent energy requirements in the systems or industries. And electrochemical is the batteries, that is secondary batteries and flow batteries. Then chemical hydrogen energy in fuel cell. Electrically it is capacitor, then superconducting magnetic coil, SMES. Then thermal, that is the molten salt, etc., can be used for the energy storage. This is overall different categories of energy storage. So looking at the performance of the energy storage devices, you can say the discharge power and the time. Looking at both, so this is the highest, pumped hydro, that is dam, right? 2 dams connected, and compressed air next. Then the batteries, flywheels, supercapacitor. This SMES, superconducting magnetic energy storage, has the power up to 10 megawatts, but it lasts for only few seconds. The time is very less. So if there is any sudden impulse of energy requirement, power requirement, you can use it. So we need both energy management and thermal management for the energy storage systems. So that is mandatory. So this is also having scope in these aspects. You have power electronics, you have machines, you have the control systems, the protection systems, both software and hardware, everything is relevant to this. Thermal systems, cooling, everything is there in the high power storage systems. So need of the hour is the um, portable energy with high density. Portable energy means with a small size and weight, you should have the highest density of the power stored. If we have the electric car traveling 500 kilometers and above with single charge, you can forget about the diesel and petrol cars. Okay. Similarly for the passenger vehicles and the goods carriers. So now the need of the hour is the portable energy, stored energy in small volume with high density. Okay, that's what the research is going on. That is relevant to material science and the nanotechnology, right? Physics and chemistry, right? So of course we can have some control and management aspects of this engineering. Uh, Engineers can do that. Okay. So next we step into that V2G technology. So what is that actually? That is actually utilizing the stored energy in the vehicle whenever it is required into the grid. Okay. So we utilize the stored energy. So far we have seen the generation, distributed energy generation and energy storage. The stored energy can be utilized whenever it is badly required. So, for example, peak hours. So, in the peak hours, in many countries there are meters that is not only with the power and time, energy billing is considered the factor. Another factor considered is the uh, time. Time means not the hours or second. So is it in morning hours or night hours or peak hours, right? So how do we know that it is peak hours? You can see in the grid, if the frequency is going down, that means the demand is increasing. So during the low frequency time, if you draw the power or consume the energy, that bill will be different of high tariff. Okay, so we need to be conscious about the load pattern, or with just looking at the frequency, or daily we know evening, no, in India we have 6 to 10 or 6 to 9 in the evening time. Here we have the peak time, so all the lights and all switch, no. So the people are returning back to home and switching on all the devices like TV, heater, everything, no. That is called peak time. So the tariff is different. So not in India. So for even for domestic consumers, the peak time tariff is also included. So we need to be conscious about the utilization of the energy. So this is one of the solution for this utilization of energy from the stored device. So vehicle is nothing but the stored energy in the battery you have. So one of the energy storage technique or the redundancy or the backup is, now we have the UPS, right? UPS in our home. What about the industries? They have the genset, the diesel generators. So instead, they can have the battery modules or racks. So that is assembled in a container like structure. So for small duration like half an hour, 45 minutes or 1 hour, you can utilize that. So that is actually avoiding the use of fossil fuels like diesel. So this is one of the technique to use the stored energy, right? So this V2G technology actually enables the energy stored in electrical vehicle. The households and fleets can support the grid when it demand peaks. Okay, it gives utilities access to the renewable energy stored in the vehicles. So if it is well and good, uh, if it is stored energy from some solar or wind power. In Germany, you can see that for the metro train, it is 90% of the power is derived from these uh, wind and solar, right? 90% of power used in metro trains utilized from solar and wind generators. Okay, like that. Here it is a link to utilize renewable energy stored in the batteries to balance the loads and mitigate grid bottlenecks. Okay, so I hope you have understood that what is V2G. So we have already charged vehicle. Okay, normally we have the charger only to store the energy and use it for operating the car. Okay, instead you can use it as a storage device like our UPS. Okay, that's what we do. So the system enables bidirectional power flow. So charging and also the discharging is through the charger which has the bidirectional capability and connected to the grid. Okay, so electricity flows in either direction from grid to vehicle or vehicle to grid. So if the charging station has the facility to connect that kind of bidirectional charges of hundreds or thousands of vehicles, you can go for even hundreds of kilowatts or megawatt of power. Okay, so it is helping to stabilize the power grid fluctuations. We experience the fluctuations, right? Voltage or frequency. So that is this vehicle stored energy in the vehicle is useful for stabilizing the fluctuations in the grid. Then it enables EV owners to sell back excess energy. So the EV, I told no that during if there is a facility to export the power, also if you export during peak hours, if the bill is high, so it is actually a great revenue for the or return of what they have spent for buying that EV plug. So that is also a benefit of this vehicle to grid system. So bidirectional vehicle to grid charging points make EV charging a two-way street. Okay, so you have both charging and discharging the power through the grid. Okay, at times when the grid's power demand spikes, that is peak hours, fully charged vehicles have the ability to feed stored energy back into the network. Okay, and EV owners charge the grid or utility company a fee for service, that is enjoying a return on their EV investment. That's what I told. While settling the sensible limits to ensure that always have the range they need. Okay, but what is the condition here? So we should supply the expected minimum expected energy to them daily. Okay, and smart grids benefit by maximizing their use of renewables and optimizing the carbon footprint in the real time. So how to reduce the carbon footprint or optimizing that? So it is one of the solution. V2C. The number of EVs on the world roads forecast is going up to 559 million by 2040. Okay, so the forecast of the number of vehicles, e-vehicles globally, 559 millions. Energy is becoming more intelligent, interconnected. That is smart system, right? And EVs are becoming an active part of the network. So the DEG, distributed energy generation, we have seen the vehicle also part of that, right? In the microgrid, you could see that the microgrid with DEG in the diagram, the picture, you have seen the electric vehicle is also part of that with the energy storage system. So V2G technology is a key component in strategies to address climate change. So look at the number of vehicles, and we utilize the renewable energy can be stored, right, and can be utilized at the needy situations. Okay, the technology makes integrating renewables more efficient, mitigating grid bottlenecks, and minimize the grid volatility. And it also leverages society's investment in e-mobility to make energy more agile. So what is that we are thinking of now? If we have return, so definitely there is a motivation, right? It creates new business models and additional revenue opportunities by sharing a crucial and underutilized resource, that is EV battery. The use cases for V2G are compelling, actually. For utilities and operators of larger EV fleets, the benefits are considerable or desirable. You cannot miss it. Smarter energy and emission-free mobility strategies are better connected and more cost-effective. So, what are the sectors we have? The V2G technology scope, that is commercial truck fleet, residential apartments. So where we need the large size of energy storage, right? And residential single family and ride share, workplace, public, commercial public destination, commercial bus or school bus fleet. So here are the scope for the storage device to grid technology implementation. Then what are all the benefits? So we have the benefits in utilities. What are the utilities? So that is the company, they need to provide the reliable power to us. So of course we don't bother here. In Western countries, the power producers or the utility companies are penalized for not providing the reliable power. If there is any power cut, they need to pay the penalty like that. So of course we don't bother, even for hours. That is the problem here. People don't bother about that meeting the nominal values. Even for 230 volts, they supply 190 or 200 volts, right? So we also don't bother. We use our own stabilizers and UPS, right? That is the problem of this system here. So anyhow, we cannot take the worst case, but in general, there should be balancing and reliability is required. So for that, this V2G enables utilities to become less dependent on fused power. Because for balancing or to meet the voltage dip, they have to start a plant like Chennai. You can say there is a gas power plant which can be immediately started and integrated, interfaced. So otherwise hydro, which hydro normally in it is in one of the base stations. So to meet the peak requirements or any dip is there, they need to start a gas power plant. Instead, if you connect to this a fleet of vehicles in a particular time during peak time, right? So it would be possible to meet that. For example, take school buses or college buses. So come to halt around 6 o'clock, right? So after 6, what will happen? If we have stored energy already, can be utilized, right? So like that, there should be a great that is elaborate structure and plan for this implementation of the system. It has various aspects. Okay, and this V2G technology helps utilizing reaching their sustainability targets. Then it is a driver. V2G solutions are expected to become financially beneficial feature for utilities. They have clear incentive to encourage consumer to take. So e-vehicle is promoted by this technology. So rewarded if they make their battery available to the utility to be used for V2G. This will result a lower total cost of ownership. That's what mentioned. And EV fleet operators, fleet owners can make money with their fleet by putting power back to the grid, the same point. And while the stored energy can be used in case of power outage or continuous operation is guaranteed. Commercial buildings and homes, V2G helps in storage of renewable energy and consume it again when you feel it. This is not only for vehicle, can be used for home also, right? H2G, G2H, like feel the technology is same, right? So we use the technology from utilization of energy, that is charging the storage device, then utilizing the stored energy back to the grid. With V2G, the momentary electricity consumption spikes in the building can be balanced with the help of electric cars and no extra energy needs to be consumed. If you have plenty of cars in it, you can use it for the momentary high demand required in the buildings. Okay, so you have flexible interface, revenue ready, and intelligent investments. These are all the benefits. And where are that is applied for the applications of V2G system? It is mainly aiming the greenhouse gas reduction and renewable integration and customer backup resilience, then customer bill management, system voltage support, system frequency regulation. These are all the areas of application of this V2G. Right? Up to this, any queries? Do you have any queries? Let us discuss for a while. Otherwise, please take a break for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It can be.
So participants, if having any queries, please post it on chat box.
You can have 10 minutes break exactly that is by 3 o'clock, right? You have 8 minutes. Again, we can resume.
Sir, actually, mic is muted, sir. Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Yeah. We have the time up to 3:30, right?
Yes, sir. That's up to you, sir.
Okay.
So, participants, if having any queries, please post it on chat box.
Yeah. Mr. Harsha Sarvaya posted a question that how to choose the topic for research.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I told earlier that you have different areas in this. So you can work on the management of the whole system or integration of the system in the point of like management or data analytics. Okay. So in that machine learning, if you are interested in that area, you can work on the data and how to accommodate all these components as required. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And another aspect is the control system. You can work on the controller, taking the various state variables and system conditions. You
Okay.
can make it reliable or stable by controlling it appropriately. That is control system aspect. So another thing is power, right? You have the power converters, each and every section, right? Each and every node, you have the power converters. So you can work on the development of operation of or protection of the power converters in different stages.
Okay,
Also,
sir.
you have the thermal management, energy management. So people are working on this energy management. This is a battery like a storage device. So you can work on BMS, EMS, and TMS. That is battery management, thermal management, energy management systems. So
Okay,
you
sir.
have plenty of areas to work on that.
Okay, sir.
Got
Thank
it?
you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Purushottaman Murugesan has raised anything to discuss, sir?
Sir, which converter is best suitable for V2G technology, sir?
So now the multi-level topology is better for the quality aspect, sir, because the quality also important when you connect it to the grid. So multi-level converters are desirable for this. So we need to look at the TST when you connect it to the grid. That is also important, sir. So there are standards to meet the quality of the voltage profile. So we need to build that is constructed now. So through the inverter, the alternating voltage is being constructed. It's not generated from the alternator. It is being switched and constructed as sine wave. But we need to have the higher number of levels. We can have better output profile.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So participants, if having any queries, you can post the question in chat box.
So I have the last slide for my contacts.
Sir, one more doubt, sir.
Please.
Sir, can you locate or can you pitch any particular bidirectional converter, sir?
It depends on your requirement, power rating, it varies actually. So normally all the inverters are bidirectional only. So I told multi-level inverter. Okay. So in the multi-level inverters, we have the bidirectional capability by anti-parallel diodes, right? So we can use it, no problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Is there any more queries?
Sir, one people from so do electric vehicle batteries wear out quickly?
Electric vehicle battery?
Wear out quickly.
It depends on the due to the drive cycle. So we know drive cycle, right? Hello. Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
We should know about the drive cycles. So if you drive with the, it is like gearing, no? It is like when you use it, how do you use it? So batteries, normally the age of the batteries depends on the number of cycles, right? Drive cycle is different. That is the drive pattern. But I am talking about this charging and discharging cycle of this battery, number of cycles. So for lithium ion batteries, the life is more, and the complete charging and discharging, right? That is called one cycle. So like that, there are thousands of cycles for each and every battery. It is specified. So if you operate with the moderate state of charge, SOC, so the life will be better. So the SOC should be maintained. So for that, we need a BMS, proper BMS, battery management system. Another aspect is, how do you use the vehicle? The high current is drawn. No? The drive cycle is important. So always we need to, in the traffics, we use it with the start, stop frequent start-stop mode, the high current is drawn from the battery. So the current level is also important for the life of battery, because the heat is generated. How do you manage the heat cooling system? It depends on the drive cycle of the vehicle and thermal management and battery management. That is, battery management means the SOC is maintained, that is to avoid more number of charging discharging cycles. So normally I hope the electric scooters are given 3 years warranty, right, for the battery, and for cars Tata Nexon is 10 years, right? So it depends on the quality of the material used in the battery, right? In the same type of battery, you have the quality difference, because it is the surface of the electrodes, what is the electrolyte. So like there are difference in the quality. So it depends. Accordingly, they give the warranty. Okay, but usage is more important, or maintenance, management of the battery is also important. Okay. So it is DC charging. Fast charging is DC charging, right? So directly the high current is called AC charging is slow charging, DC charging is rapid charging or fast charging. Fine. So it has different current rating, and the converter is different for that. The standard is different for that. Okay. DC charging is called fast charging. Right. Any other query? Can we continue?
Yes, sir. We can proceed with the next session.
Okay. So then I go to full screen mode. Okay, is it visible full screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the block diagram or general configuration of the V2G technology. So we have the grid connection with the bidirectional power flow, and from vehicle also is bidirectional. In between you have a switchboard. What is that switchboard? It is nothing but a converter. Also there is load connected. So there is a point of common coupling where these loads, this EV batteries and grid are connected. So the switchboard is nothing but a converter. Okay. I think, I hope you can understand it easily. So the arrows are bidirectional here. The grid also the vehicle, enabling charging, also feedback. Okay. So this converter has two parts, right? So AC to DC and DC to DC. The first part we have, while charging, this part is called this blue color is AC to DC during charging, and the battery voltage and the input voltage should be appropriate, no? So here you need to do some buck or boost operations. So that's why it is DC to DC converter with LNC. Enables some reduced loss under, so resonating, all those things, also filtering the ripples we have. So this is the final battery current flowing. So this is shown for the charging. So when you discharge, the process would be opposite, right? Here, from the battery, actually the voltage is matched, and across the capacitor, the VDC is available for the blue color inverter now. So initially, while charging, this blue color bridge acted as converter, the AC to DC rectifier. Now it is acting as an inverter. So here we give positive and negative from the battery, right? And this switches, right? Here it is shown IGBTs, right? These IGBTs actually acting as inverter, and the inverter output is available to the grid with the voltage matched. Okay, so this is what so here you have the rectifier or inverter operation. Here DC to DC anyhow. So DC to DC means bidirectional provision. So this is also having some home appliances in the AC side, right? So this is V2G power converter simple configuration. So instead of this simple bridge, I told the multi-level configuration is also used. Resonant converters are being used. So this is simple converter for V2G, that is bidirectional, enabling bidirectional power flow. There is two-stage converter. One is AC to DC, another one is DC to DC. Between the point of common coupling and battery, vehicle battery. This is vehicle, e-vehicle, right? So inside the vehicle, you have all those things. Clear? So when you use it as a grid to V mode, what is grid to V mode? Charging, right? Is grid to V mode means charging. So what is that? The battery current, you see, it is positive and steady, right? So but grid voltage and current are alternating. AC side you have the voltage and current, and here battery current is DC. Okay, and when you operate it as a storage device supplying to grid, so that means vehicle to grid. In vehicle to grid mode, we have the current negative. Already we have seen the current positive in one direction, right, towards the battery. Now the current is flowing from the battery. So the voltage is same. You see, the voltage is same, input current and voltages are same, but the battery current is reversed now. Okay, the red color is battery current, DC only, but in the opposite direction. Initially it was positive, now it is the negative direction, right? And there is an integrated topology with renewables. So we have solar photovoltaic panels, then electrical grid, then e-vehicle. So how to integrate all those things? For that you need a system with the V2G, G2V, or renewables to vehicle and renewables to grid. That is R2G and R2V. So this is the 3-point integrated system. Okay, electrical grid, PV panels, right? Then vehicle, grid, vehicle, and PV panels. We need AC to DC converter, DC to DC converter, here also DC, because the DC grid is here, right? This is DC grid, this is AC grid. In the DC microgrid, you have connected PV panels, also e-vehicle, also DC side of the converter from grid. So you need to match the voltage of each component. EV battery voltage is different, and PV panel input and output voltages are different. So we have the DC to DC converter for PV panel separately and e-vehicle separately. And this is AC to DC. So all are bidirectional capability. So this is with the 3-port integrated topology. We have the grid, this AC to DC, DC to DC1, and DC to DC2 for EV and PV, right? Photovoltaic cell and EV interface, that is battery. This is the source, right? So you can operate it on either mode. So when grid to vehicle mode, we have the power here. You can see power from the grid and power of EV and PV. Clear? So when you operate it like R2G here on the right side, V2G means you look at the difference. The PV power of e-vehicle reversed, right? E-vehicle power and grid power. After the grid, the power initially in one direction, now it is in different direction. Okay, so that's what the G2V and V2G utilization are modes of operation. This is using renewables to the e-vehicle or grid from the PV panel. Okay, and if you have 3-phase, so this is for having 1 phase, right? Here you have only 2 points, right? So for 3-phase, we have the converter like this, AC to DC or DC to AC, bidirectional control. Here you can see AC to DC, bidirectional converter. Here we have DC to DC, bidirectional converter. And here is the battery. And for that, battery management system, then pulse generator for the inverter or rectifier, right? We have the PWM inverter, or we can use it as a PWM rectifier. You can see that the current IL, what is IL? That is DC, right? So DC is positive here when it is up charging, right? When it is charging, this IL DC is, this is IL DC. Can you follow the cursor, what I am moving here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This is what ILDC. So this ILDC is positive when it is charging. When it is discharging, that means V2G, right? It is negative here. So that is the difference with the voltage, grid voltage, and the current is maintained. Okay. This is for typical circuit configuration and essentials required for the 3-phase system. Okay, so that's what the typical converters with only grid to voltage and grid to V2G, grid to vehicle and vehicle to grid, and here the integration of 3 and a 3-phase system. What we have seen, the converters required for the V2G, G2V, and 3-port technologies. So now let us look at some energy conservation strategies. So it includes the selection of site. It is starting from planning, okay, site selection, building design, specification and requirement. You should choose the appropriate specifications, optimization and automation. Okay, so there should be proper control, that is called optimization and automation. Monitoring, maintenance and training, and predictive analysis and audits, integrated and smart systems, what we have seen now. So we should include some integrated system with a smart system management and control. Okay. And in industries in particular, there are scope for solar light pipes, use of LEDs, pre-cleaners, MD controllers, automatic power factor controller, efficient equipment with star grades. So what is star grade? That is standards given by the, that is fixed by the BEE, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So in that, We have the 4-star, 5-star equipments. Recently, we have refrigerators and air conditioners with 5-star. What is that? Actually, utilizing the power optimally. That is use of the BLDC fans and motors with variable speed drives. Okay, so that's what required for energy conservation. And the last topic is electrical safety. I want to mention that is where are the points of electric hazards arising from equipment or installations. That is from the design, construction, installation, maintenance, and testing of electrical equipment or installations. And during the design change or modification, when you shift something or alter something, no, there would be electrical hazard. So possibility of these things. So inadequate or inactive electrical protection. We don't bother about the protection aspects of particular equipment or facility. So there is a hazard. Then electrical equipment being used in an area in which the atmosphere presents a risk to health and safety from fire or explosion. The environment is not good actually. Atmosphere that is enabling the explosion. Okay? It is confined space without air circulation, etc. And type of equipment, for example, plug-in equipment that may be moved around. We can see the welding machines with cable. They change the place, right, according to the requirement. So including the extension leads are particularly liable to damage. Then the age of equipment, we don't bother about. Even for 50 years, if it is running, we don't let it be operated. Like that, we don't bother. So there is a possibility of hazard. Okay. Work carried out on or near electrical equipment, electrical installation, including electric overhead lines or underground cables. For example, carried out in confined space connected to plants or services. So for that, what should be the measure? So that is elimination of that hazardous practice, right? The most effective control measure is to remove the hazard or hazardous work practice. By designing in or designing out certain features, hazards may be eliminated. Then substitution, replacing a hazardous process or material with one that is less hazardous will reduce the hazard and hence the risk. So it may be reasonably practicable to use extra low voltage electrical equipment such as battery operated tool rather than a tool that is plugged into mains electricity. So we can use the battery operated system instead of the plug-in using the extension leads. And isolation, preventing the workers from coming into the contact with the source of electrical hazard with reduce the relevant risks. Then what are all the safety measures? In engineering controls, use of engineering control measures to minimize the risk. Example, installing residual current devices. We have the electrical leakage and RCBs, right? So ELCBs, RCBs are used to reduce the risk of receiving fatal electric shock. So whenever there is a fault, it will isolate that. Then administrative controls, you have involvement of or use of safe work practice to control the risk. For example, establishing exclusion zones. So you need to specify or mention that use of permits and warning signs, display boards for warning. Then PPE. This is very much important, but we don't follow. That is like we don't bother about the risk. So that's why we don't use it. Like protective eyewear, insulated gloves, hard hats, then aprons and breathing protection, That is, most forms of PPE are not relevant to minimizing electrical risk in workplaces except in relation to energized electrical work. So we should be conscious with what is the voltage level we are working at, what should be the PPE. So that's what this mentioned, not only electrical, others also. So that's what I don't miss it anywhere. I just share some points about electrical safety also. Right? Thank you all for patient listening so far. So if you have any points, you can share or we can discuss. This is my contact. You can contact me.
So, sir, thank you, sir, for your wonderful session.
Thank you.
So now the session is open to participants. Sir, one participant named Kalpana Patel
Yeah.
has asked the question: is trickle charging preferred in EV battery?
Yeah, it is very slow only. So it depends on your requirement. It is very slow. So you can use it. The battery life would be better than the fast charging. You can use it, but it is very slow. Any other?
So participants can post your questions, please.
Anyhow, I wanted to share the overview about the importance of energy, then energy storage, portable energy, and how to use with the grid. That's why. So I started from that point and ended with safety. So you want to be holistic. Thank you.
Sir, the next question is: what will be the best applicable controller for two-wheel drive electric vehicles?
The controller or converter?
The controller.
So controller nowadays, it is intelligent controller is being employed. So conventional controller is PI controller, but if you take more parameters and dynamics into consideration, you can go for intelligent control. PI controller is the conventional one used.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So participants having any queries, you can post in chat box. We will go for another one more questions.
Yeah. So as I told, you have plenty of scope for doing research work. It is need not be a product development. You can work on the controller and management, BMS, EMS. These are all control techniques only. So developing the algorithms or control techniques would be better for the developers or product development industries. So you can improve on the performance or the efficiency, size. So these are all required solutions from our side. So we are not the industries as a faculty. We cannot go for full-fledged product development. So in e-vehicle research, many faculty members are wasting their time in developing such mechanical systems, automobile aspects, that's all. But that is the job of companies. They can take care of that. Even mechanical, they can concentrate on design of that frames, etc. Okay, in e-vehicles, so engineering people can concentrate on In particular, electrical, electronics, computer engineers can concentrate on these management and control techniques. Also, power electronics involved in it. So always there is a power electronic interface, right? During charging, then actuator, everywhere there is a power electronics involved. So you can work on that. Any more question?
Yes, sir. So thank you, sir, for your patient answering for all the questions, sir.
Thank you. It is our duty.
Sir, yes, sir. So at this juncture, I thank our sixth session resource person, Dr. Tirumurthy, sir, for accepting our invitation and sparing his time to give this wonderful session on vehicle to grid technology power converters. Sir, we are very much honored to have you in the session, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity meeting you all in the virtual session and sharing some points. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I leave?